What's up, guys? This is your host, Danny Baylor, Danny Cakes, and you are listening to the Immeasurably More podcast. All right, you guys, welcome back. It's me, Danny, and I just want to remind you guys if you haven't had a chance, check out my last episode about my story and the business basics. Go ahead and take a listen. I basically go into my honest why, a little bit about my story, and my initial mindset I had when taking the leap as I started this new business. So I know it's going to serve you well, get you fired up, get you pumped up, and excited to pursue this next season of your business. So go ahead and check that out. But today, I want to share with you my quote unquote secret to success. And I realize I said in my last episode, there is no secret to success. But you guys, I want to go a little bit deeper today. I mean, let's be honest, we go deep every week, but like this is something so significant to me in my journey. And I was like, I have to share this because it's so business related, but it has so much to do with my heart and who I am and how I've developed as a leader. And this was an area of success to my life, and it happened during the growth of my business. And like I said, we're going to go deep. And I believe that you can understand grit and the nuts and bolts of this business and hard work. But if your belief lacks in this one area, it could break you. And it almost broke me. This was the most valuable lesson I feel like I learned personally throughout my journey, and what I feel like is actually the area of us that we don't even tend to enough. We don't even recognize it's so hidden. And I'm talking about taking ownership of your specific calling and how to conquer comparison, finding your true identity. I want to share with you the story of my breakthrough and how important it is to own your own individual purpose. So we all know comparison is a thief of joy, right? And if you let it, this deceit can rob you, guys. It's the devil's favorite tool to take us off course, make us want to isolate ourselves and forget all about our initial mission. So we allow comparison to, make us want to push everyone away because we somehow feel inadequate because our purpose doesn't match someone who's currently more successful than us, right? So instead of embracing the fact that you are set apart on purpose for a purpose, you guys, God makes no mistakes with you. He never wastes time. Be confident in that. And I will share more about that connection in my story later. And so I've discovered these nuggets of wisdom about breakthrough through my trials. And as uncomfortable as they are, these seasons of my life, like I said, this is where I find the most breakthrough in my life. And I feel more in line with what God is doing specifically through me, and more importantly, how to relate to others. Because if anything, what's most important about this business is creating human connection, right? How can we relate and create an open space for vulnerability that says, hey, I get it and I'm here for you? And that's been my mission, at least. So is it not ironic that somehow we lose sight of the value of ourselves through comparison, and that separates us from just that, right? Sneaky devil. You either choose to let others who are successful inspire you, or that it will break you. And I'm here to create awareness of this feeling so you know how to face it and redirect your focus to your mission. I think some of the most important things that we have to learn and be aware of as leaders are, and I'm trying to be aware of in my life, is like, what am I feeling? Where's the root of that problem? And how do I tackle it? How do I conquer it to be better and be more authentically me and be obviously who God called me to be? So we all have a mission and a vision, right? When you said yes to your business, you had one. You had a dream and an idea of what you would create. Mine was a movement. I wanted to create a community, and God put a vision on my heart to create something I never had for myself and lead others to duplicate that as well. So in order to pursue that dream, I had to own it. Own the fact that He put it on my heart to create my mission through my business. It's time to own yours and quit looking left and right. We must understand that a major level of confidence in ourselves and who we are is so vital to our business, you guys. I promise you, if we, right, don't learn to tackle comparison early on, because I'm saying this is still something I battle with and I'm trying to remind myself with. If we don't tackle comparison early on in our business and we're aware of it, it'll always be there. No matter your title, if anything, I feel like there's more comparison as you grow. It doesn't get any easier. And I prayed if there was anything in me, God, that held me back from being the leader that I needed to be, that He would not elevate me until I conquered those things. I wanted to make sure, I took my promotions and my leadership role very seriously. And I was like, God, don't level me up until we know that I'm both ready. So we have to keep our eyes fixed on people, right? And the value that we can add to their lives through this opportunity. And that starts with ownership of ourselves. I just returned from our biggest conference of the year this last weekend. You guys, I got to hug and meet you and look into the eyes of the people who make up my why. My listeners, my followers, and some of those who I've been able to impact through my voice because I chose to take on my true identity as me, as Danny, right? Who God called me to be. And maybe you guys might see this version of me, but like it took a lot of hardships, a lot of breakthrough, a lot of stepping back and taking a clearer, deeper look at who am I? What am I made up of? What am I made for? Right? And where is my identity? Because once we take that on and we own it and we're confident in it, you guys, we can move forward like with confidence, right? And we feel like this sense of relief, like, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And it makes me feel like more excited to be me, more authentically me, and honestly feel like I can just be accepted, right? Aren't we all looking for that? And so it's so crazy how the impact of choosing to push through these breakthroughs has allowed me to become this version of myself. And I want that for you guys. I want you to feel like that is, like I said, the greatest value that I have found in my business is feeling that way about myself. And so, the people that I met this weekend, it's like some of you could barely even get out a word as you introduce yourselves to me because of how God reached you somehow through my voice and this platform, right? And so many of you just said to me, Danny, just keep going. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. And you guys, like, I promise you that I will, and I'm just getting started. And I hope that you have the courage to do so too, whatever that means for you. And it just made me think like, there's so much craze and so much busyness. And I'm starting to absorb all those interactions from this weekend. And I just thought, you guys, like, what if I like hadn't said yes tonight when I did? What if I hadn't decided that I needed to pursue this version of me, right? Like seek God's voice more and His plan for me. And more importantly, like, what if I hadn't pushed past this one breakthrough basically a year ago? And this is the one that broke off comparison for me. And you guys, I sat on the rower today, my workout, and I just felt God say, it matters most when it hurts. Remind them of this today. Because I was sitting there hurting and I was just like, you know what? Like I say, anyone can perform and do things fresh out the gate. But what develops a leader, what develops us, you guys, as human beings, is what we choose to react into when we're facing hardships, right? And so God's saying, like, it matters when it hurts. Like, this is what, develops your character, right? And so basically about a year ago, about last January, I was hurting. No one ever knew to the extent. I really kept it to myself a lot. I was in the middle of my qualification period of finishing for my promotion. And to be completely honest, you guys, no one would expect this, but I've never been more depressed in my life. And I didn't ever see that coming. I never thought that feeling would reach me because I felt so much joy, like I've expressed, I felt so much joy building this and seeking it out and growing and pursuing, the next thing in my business. And I just remember thinking like, God, how did I get here? Like I walked away from so much. Like I endured loneliness and so much pain to get here. And I did what most people never do. And I just felt like, God, like, where are you? Like, why am I failing over and over? Why am I unworthy of success? You called me to do this. So why are we here? I got so caught up thinking there was something God was hiding from me when really I was broken because of the comparison to other people who had did what I hadn't completed yet. Feeling an expectation that I couldn't currently live up to. You guys, this was bad. Like I wondered if I'd ever have the courage to talk about this exactly, but I want to be really authentic and transparent and of course relatable, right? And so I was seriously so down that I actually questioned like the purpose of my life. In the back of my head, I kept like questioning that. I was so hurt. And my real problem was masked. And so I felt anger towards God and this sense of unworthiness. It's just like, are you kidding me? Because my company created a goal for me in order for me to level up that I didn't accomplish in my timing while other people were in a business that I knew God called me to. Like, and suddenly somehow I questioned everything significant about me in my mission and my life. Why do we do that? Why do we let that take control over us? Like, that's not God's voice, right? The depression, the anxiety, the fear, the unworthiness, that's not of God. Holy spiritual warfare, like, it was horrible, you guys. I never turned from God, but I definitely avoided him, which absolutely did not serve me. And so basically it came to, I mean, this was like this whole thing, you guys, like a 5-month period where I was just like really battling internally. And it's like you have this leadership role and you're like, well, who do I talk to? Because like, I don't want to like discourage my team and I don't want to complain to people who are leading me. And it's like, you just feel like you're so isolated. And it was such a lie. And so basically it got to this point where I had this conference at my church. And one of my friends, actually a girl on my team, she was like, hey, we should go to this conference. And it was at the end of the month. It was the last couple of days of the month, which you guys know is a very significant time in our business. And I was like, dude, like, we're trying to finish this promotion. And, how can I do that? And she's like, look, I really think it's going to honor God. And as soon as she said that, I was like, I didn't think twice. I was like, absolutely, we're going to be there. And, the morning of, I had gone on a run and I was just right outside of the church. And I just fully surrendered, you guys. I was just like, God, I'm done. Like, I'm so done feeling this way. Like, it's been months and this is not what I like signed up for. Like, I never intended to feel this way. And like, how did I get off track emotionally and mentally? And like, I'm just spent right now. And I really just needed to like release it to God. And it was so crazy because there was parts of that conference that I wasn't supposed to be at, and I ended up being there. And that's where God met me, you guys. And he made a way and he knew that we would meet. And God knows exactly where you're at right now. And he is meeting with you. And you guys, actually happens to be my second Jesus encounter, like in my entire life. And basically I got to the point where, right, I was there and the time of the conference, I wasn't planning on being there. And the pastor spoke to us and kind of called us up, and I went forward and he started to speak about significance and those who were battling with a thought of feeling like they were without it and questioning the purpose of their life. And I knew like that God was like speaking to me in that moment. And I just like, I was so hurt. I was so broken for myself because I was just like, this is such a lie. Like, it just hit me, and I was just like mourning that those months of myself and like feeling unworthy and feeling like I was a bad leader. There was something wrong with me. And God revealed to me in that time the very first memory of me feeling insignificant. And he reminded me that he was there with me. And every single memory that followed that, he was there. He sees me. I'm significant to him. And that's all that mattered. And the craziest thing, I mean, besides that, people laying hands on me and prayer and all those things, and really feeling, Jesus's presence. But there was a handful of people, you guys, that came up to me and said that exact same thing. Like what God told me in my heart and in my head, like other people said to me over and over. And I was like, okay, God, like I hear you, right? And they just said, Danny, like he sees you and you need to know that he sees you and you're significant to him. And every single time that you didn't feel that way, every time you felt left out or unworthy, like he was there, like he sees you and you're not bringing this into this next season of your life. This was the most important breakthrough. I had been holding on to a title, expectation, and comparison, and I allowed it to define me. I had never had more confidence than I did from that moment on. God, I don't care what title that comes before my name. I care about co-creating with you and serving your purpose for your people. And he helped me to regain my focus of my original mission. I was more unapologetically me now more than ever. I realized no matter what, like my identity lied in him. And I could freely be myself, be joyous, be authentic. And I knew that especially I wanted to bridge a connection to others and bring freedom to them the way that I had been given. You guys, God puts desires on your hearts. He doesn't do them by accident. He intends to fulfill them. He intends to equip them. And I think that we all just kind of need to get to a point, God gives us free will to choose him. And I needed to choose him. I needed to choose in every single aspect of my business and the road to success that I was going to continually surrender my situation to him. And I do. And I wake up and I was saying that even on Bible study this morning, I'm like, you guys, whether it's 30 seconds or 5 minutes, I have created this habit where I'm like, God, it's all yours. You gave it to me. You've equipped me, and it all belongs to you anyways. And there's something so freeing. And I feel like as I was, writing the notes for this, like God's like, imagine like gripping onto something and like if you guys have ever done like a farmer's carry kind of a walk and with like it's basically you're holding a weight and walking for like 200 400 meters. It's a grip strength exercise. And I feel like it's just described it like that in my head. Like imagine like all the things that you're holding on to in the weight and like you don't need to. Like you can just release it to me. Like release the weight, like release everything. And I've got you. Like I'm gonna equip you. I'm gonna fulfill the desires that I have in your heart because I put them there, and it's significance for other people that we're creating. And, we're not supposed to look like or talk like or hold the same skills and talents that everyone else has. And more than anything, match their timelines of success. You guys don't let that rob you. You're in this business, in this season of your life for a reason, right? Not an accident, on purpose. And do not let the comparison of other people's journeys rob from you what God had initially intended to do through you in this, right? And so I'm here today to tell you that he sees you. You are significant to him. You are here on purpose for a purpose, and he's always with you. And I want to pray that like whatever that moment is to you, whatever that is you're struggling with, maybe it's comparison, maybe it's a fact of like lacking significance in your life, that God reveals to you that moment in your life when you first felt that way, and that he brings healing to it, and that he lets you know that like he sees you. He sees your significance. He sees your hard work. He sees your heart. He sees your purpose, and he's with you then and now. And so I encourage you guys, I challenge you, be you unapologetically. Like, the nuts and bolts to this business, and we are given those. But even if you are the hardest worker on your team, if you don't know where the inner security of your identity comes from, you will always be seeking something in this world that you can never fulfill the way that God does, right? You've got to be you in order to make the impact that you were created to make. There will always be someone smarter than you, someone more business savvy, prettier, more fit, someone who speaks more eloquently. There is someone who speaks more eloquently than me and probably never stutters, right? But there's only one you. And once I discovered that, I felt like everything changed. I was relieved, and I felt like I could think and work clearly without this pressure of living up to someone else's expectations or even mine, right? In the lies of the evil one that I was being fed for so long. So I want to show you guys also how this all came a full circle. So the day that I was about to complete my qualifications for my promotion, I wrote down on this dry erase board the remainder of my goal and my immeasurably more verse beneath it, Ephesians 3:20. And as I finished writing it, it just hit me. I was like, okay, God, you're never late. Like you knew exactly what you were doing. He answered my prayers of never leveling me up until I was ready and equipped me, and my confidence was fully in him. 3:20. The verse that was put on my heart since the very beginning of my business, I was about to complete in March of 2020, 3:20. God just knows that I just love numbers and all the things. And he's like, do you see, like, I'm in the details, Danielle. Like I'm there. I was there with you then. I'm there with you now. And I'm there a year from you now. And he is right now and a year from now, 2022. But I want to share with you guys, like shortly after that breakthrough, right, complete my qualifications, later started this online Bible study that I now do every Tuesday. Coincidentally, the same week that church was shut down, which unknowingly in time gave me the confidence to 9 months later start a podcast. Look at what he did. So much spiritual warfare that almost kept me from all of the immeasurably more that God was about to do through me. I'm telling you guys, like this was the hardest season. Like, and it was just something that I could only internally battle with. Like I didn't know who to talk to. It was just something that I had to deal with and get to a point where I could like fully surrender to God, right? And I found so much more pride in the fact that I'm not like everybody else. I don't know why I felt like I had to like measure up to everyone else, because God's like, I didn't make you to be like everybody else. He didn't make us to look and talk, right? Like everyone else, and for our success to measure theirs and all the things. And does that mean it's hard? Absolutely. That was the hardest 5 months of my life. But I realized, well, I might take that back. It was the beginning of one of the hardest seasons of my life. But I realized the value that I gained from that season of my life and how I wanted to share this breakthrough with so many more people. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but besides the fact that like I just felt freedom, a freedom to be myself, accept who I was because there was a confidence that God had significance in every aspect of it. And I just think that that was of so much value to me because obviously, like I talked about my story before, because I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like I could be myself for so long. Like when I think about this business, the opportunity it's given to me, be able to stand up for myself, push through these hardships and all the breakthroughs and all the spiritual warfare, it's like I was on this journey to be me. Like when I think about when I share this with the people, I'm like, this is the greatest value that I've discovered through the process is that I was kind of in a way encouraged or forced myself to be authentically me. Like I realized that's what I wanted from a leader and that's what I wanted to show somebody else. And so I had to fight to become that for myself. I had to fight through my brokenness and through my mess and through my past to discover who Danny was and discover like who God called me to be and how he sees me, not just that he sees me, but how he sees us, right? And I just wanted to be me even more. I wanted to lean into who he was calling me to be, someone relatable, someone silly, someone who was willing to be vulnerable and share the ugliest parts of my life, and yet how I chose to conquer them in place of letting them defeat me. I began embracing everything that I wanted to be, and I encourage you to do the same. You have your gifts, your skills, your background, your talents, your hurts, you have your failures, because you are meant to connect with other human beings in this world to make them feel less alone, that show them that they too are accepted as you are. Take pride in being their leader. Be willing to go first and do it afraid. Every time I fear about opening up about my mess, it creates a deeper connection with more people than I ever expected. Keep your eyes fixed on your purpose, whatever it is that you do, and do it for the Lord. Take pride that you're not meant to blend in. So I hope that this added some value to yourself. And I hope that you guys take this to heart and know that God has called you to be different. And he knows every single aspect of your journey. He knows what's ahead. And just, oh gosh, we, more than anything, guys, we just got to trust the hard times, right? And I always just say when it's, you're at like your breaking point, you're right ahead of right before your breakthrough, right? So just, and I'm trying to like remind myself that too. Like, okay, when I'm like doing spiritual warfare and catching my thoughts and all those things, it's a process. We're growing, we're molding, and give yourself grace, okay? But also know like what happens for a reason. And God is ahead of you. He has plans for you. He's molding you to be exactly who you need to be, and just be willing to surrender your current situation. Surrender it every day, right? Sometimes it's hourly, sometimes it's every single minute, every single week, whatever that looks like. And I can promise you that that's the best thing that I've ever done is to always surrender my business to God and be like, hey, God, your will be done. Like that's such a simple prayer that we can pray, you know, and see what God does. I challenge you. But love yourself, accept that who you are and you're meant to reach, and the people that are supposed to be a part of your organization, freaking own it, you guys. Own who you are, own what God's doing through you and for you. And can't wait to hear about how you have breakthroughs from hearing my story, or maybe you're looking back and seeing how God's been molding you, whatever that looks like. But slide into my DMs. Let me know how we've connected. I love hearing from you guys. Please never, ever, ever hesitate. It was such an honor to like see you guys in person. And I promise I'm going to be continuously prayerful about what God wants to share through me. And so for some reason, on our next episode, God put on my heart to talk about being still and what that means. And if you've seen the tattoo on my left wrist, that's what that says. And so I would love to share with you guys what God has revealed to me over the years about being still and how it's been something that's really centered me and allowed me to draw nearer to God, and just what my quiet time looks like and things like that. And just how holy that time has been and that mentality for me. I'm so excited to share it with you guys. So like I said, as always, rate, review, and subscribe. That would mean so much to me. Share this with someone that you know will be encouraged by it. And you guys can find me on Instagram at Danny Cakes, DANNI Cakes, or at immeasurably.more.podcast. And I'll leave you guys with this. Jeremiah 1:5. I chose you before I formed you in the womb. I set you apart before you were born. I appointed you a prophet to the nations.